The space outpost named Frontline Echo stood alone near the edge of human territory. It was a small place with metal walls, narrow halls, and a few landing pads. It did not look special to anyone who passed by. Most travelers only stopped here for repairs, fuel, or short rest before going deeper into unknown space. Inside the outpost, a human mechanic named Evan Reed worked quietly in his repair bay. He was young, but he had steady hands and a calm mind. Most of his days were spent fixing broken ship engines, cracked hull plates, or damaged tools. He rarely met anyone exciting or dangerous. Still, he liked his simple life. He liked seeing a broken machine become whole again. On this quiet day, Evan was cleaning a pile of tools when the warning light on the wall flashed bright blue. It meant a ship was landing on Pad 3. He did not expect anyone at this hour. Most travelers avoided this region because strange raids had been happening in nearby space. Evan wiped his hands and walked outside. The landing pad shone with soft yellow lights, showing a smooth metal surface open to the dark sky. He looked up as the ship came down. The engines glowed purple, and the hull was marked with long lines of silver and black. Evan frowned. He had never seen this design before. It did not belong to any human group. The ship landed with a soft vibration. A side door opened, and from the bright interior a tall figure stepped out. She was unlike anyone Evan had ever seen. Her posture was strong, her armor shining with deep blue plates shaped like sharp feathers. Her skin was pale silver, and her eyes had a calm green glow. She moved with the ease of a trained warrior. Her presence felt powerful yet controlled. She stopped in front of Evan. "I need repairs," she said in a clear, steady voice. "My armor took damage in battle. I was told this outpost offers service to travelers." Her words were simple, but they carried weight. Evan nodded quickly. "Yes, I can help. I repair ships and equipment. You can come with me." The alien warrior followed him into the repair bay. Evan tried to stay calm, but he felt nervous. She looked like someone who had faced many dangers. Her armor had scratches, dents, and a few faint burn marks. He wondered what kind of battle she had been in. "Your name?" Evan asked softly, trying not to sound tense. "Kara Vellner," she replied. "I am a warrior of my people." Evan introduced himself, then guided her to a raised platform with scanning lights. "If you stand here, I can check the damage," he said. Kara stepped onto the platform. Evan activated the scanner, and green lights moved across her armor. As the scan continued, Evan watched the readings. The armor was complex, more advanced than anything he had seen before. It had layered power channels, shock-absorbing plates, and energy joints that moved like living muscle. "You have very advanced armor," Evan said slowly. "I will need time to understand it." Kara watched him with calm eyes. "I was told humans work with patience. I will trust your skill." Her words surprised him. Not many travelers spoke kindly about human mechanics. Evan straightened his shoulders a little. He wanted to do the job well. He moved closer and examined the shoulder plate. The metal looked cracked along one side, as if struck by a heavy force. He reached out and touched the damaged area lightly. Kara's eyes shifted. It was not fear or anger. It was something softer, something he did not understand. She looked at his hand, then at his face. "Your touch is careful," she said. Evan blinked. Thank you. I just want to be sure I don't cause more damage." She gave a slight nod. "That is good." Evan continued inspecting the armor. He used a small tool to feel the edges of the damage. As he worked, he noticed Kara watching him more closely than before. Her gaze was steady, almost studying him. He felt a little awkward, but he focused on the job. "You were in a big fight," Evan said softly. "Was it serious?" "Every battle is serious," Kara answered. "Many things can go wrong. You must move fast and trust your training." Her voice was calm, not dramatic. It sounded like someone who lived with danger every day. Evan looked at another damaged section near her lower arm. He leaned closer and adjusted the tool. "Hold still, please." Kara stood straight, her breathing quiet. Evan worked on the small break carefully. His hands were gentle and slow. Kara felt something unusual as he touched the armor again. It was not pain or fear. It felt warm. She had worn this armor for years, and no one had handled it with such patience. Most engineers she met worked quickly, using heavy tools and loud machines. This human mechanic used small tools and soft pressure. She did not understand why it felt different. Evan stepped back and wrote a few notes. "I can repair everything," he said, "but I will need a few hours." That is acceptable, Kara replied. A deep silence filled the room. Kara watched Evan organizing his tools with quiet discipline. She noticed how focused he was. He did not act like he wanted to impress her. He only wanted to do his work correctly. This interested her. Your outpost is far from the safe routes, Kara said. Why do you stay here alone? Evan shrugged. Someone has to keep this place running. And I like fixing things. Machines make sense. They don't lie. Kara studied his face. He was sincere. She respected that. As Evan worked on the first repair, he felt Kara's gaze again. It made him nervous, so he focused harder on the metal. He gently tapped the cracked piece and checked the power flow. Your armor uses energy fibers, Evan said. I have never worked on this type before. It is made for warriors of my world, Kara said. It responds to our movements. Evan nodded with interest. That explains why it moves like real muscle. Kara tilted her head slightly. You see details many others ignore. Evan smiled a little. It's my job to notice things. He continued working. Time moved slowly inside the repair bay. The hum of machines and soft clicks of tools filled the air. Kara did not speak much, but her eyes stayed on him. After some time, Evan adjusted a joint near her shoulder. His hand brushed the armor softly. Kara felt that warm spark again, small but clear. She stepped back suddenly. Evan froze. Sorry, did I hurt something? Kara shook her head once. No, it just felt different. Evan looked confused. Different how? Kara did not answer. She did not fully understand it herself. She only knew that the simple human mechanic touched her armor with a type of care she had never known before. There was no force, no demand, no hurry. Only calm hands and steady focus. Evan returned to his tools. I'll finish the main repairs soon. You should rest while I work. I do not need rest, Kara said. Then after a small pause, she added, I will stay here and watch. I want to understand how humans repair. Evan nodded. All right, you can stay. As he repaired the armor piece by piece, something quiet and unspoken formed in the room. Kara found herself watching him not as a mechanic, but as someone who worked with real heart. Evan found himself wanting to do the best job possible, more than usual because he did not want to disappoint her. The part ends as Evan finishes the first major repair. Kara stands beside him, still calm, still strong, but now a little curious about this simple human who worked with such gentle dedication. The repair bay of Frontline Echo stayed quiet while Evan worked on Caravelner's armor. The lights above flickered softly, creating long shadows across the metal walls. Kara stood near the corner with her arms crossed, watching every move Evan made. She looked calm, but inside she felt a strange mix of curiosity and something she could not explain. Evan moved from tool to tool with careful steps. He checked the armor's power lines, cleaned the damaged joints, and adjusted the small moving plates with slow precision. He did not rush. His focus stayed sharp. For him, this was not just repair work. It was a puzzle, and he wanted to understand it perfectly. Kara's voice broke the silence gently. You work differently from other mechanics I have known. Evan looked up for a moment. Different how? You move with patience, Kara said. You do not strike the armor. You guide it. She tilted her head slightly. Why do you work like this? Evan shrugged. Machines respond better when you treat them carefully. If you force them, they break again later. He nodded toward her armor. This armor has been with you through a lot. It deserves proper attention. Kara watched him with steady eyes. There was no fear in her gaze, only interest. She had met many engineers from different worlds. Most were loud, confident, and fast. Evan Reed was none of those things. He was calm, quiet, and deliberate. It confused her, but she liked observing him. Evan returned to the armor's left shoulder joint. He used a small tool to realign the power connector. As he leaned in, his hand brushed lightly against the outer plate. This time Kara did not step back, but she felt that warm spark again, like a pulse of energy that surprised her. Evan paused. Sorry again. I keep touching the wrong spots. No, Kara said quickly. It is not a problem. She kept her voice steady, but inside she felt something unusual. I only react because your touch feels calm. Evan blinked. Calm? Yes, she answered simply. Evan had no idea what to say to that, so he silently continued the repairs. Kara watched his hands move with steady rhythm. She noticed how he paused often to double-check, how he tested the structure gently before tightening a bolt. She liked the way he worked, and she rarely liked the way anyone worked. After several minutes, Kara asked, Do all humans work like you? Evan shook his head. No, some hurry. Some don't care. Some only want credits. He smiled a little. I just do the job the way it feels right. Kara listened, thinking quietly. She had trained among warriors her whole life. Her people valued discipline, clarity, and strength. Yet they also respected gentle skill when it served a purpose. For the first time, she felt that respect toward a human she had met only hours ago. Evan moved to the armor's lower arm joint. That section was heavily damaged. The metal seemed bent as if something strong had crushed it. Evan frowned as he studied the area. This damage is serious, he said softly. What happened here? Kara's eyes hardened for a moment. A heavy weapon hit me. I blocked it to protect someone behind me. She paused before adding, The armor saved my life. Evan nodded slowly. He felt admiration in his chest, though he tried not to show it too directly. You are brave. Kara did not react with pride. Courage is part of my duty. It is not special. To me it is, Evan said. He surprised himself by saying it out loud. Kara noticed his tone and studied him again with new interest. Evan switched tools. As he lowered his hand, he accidentally brushed her armor near the elbow plate. Kara felt that warm spark again. This time it stayed a bit longer. Evan pulled his hand back instantly. Sorry, really, I should be more careful. Kara shook her head. You did nothing wrong. She stood straighter. It is rare for someone to touch my armor with such care. It feels unfamiliar but not unpleasant. Evan's eyes widened slightly. Well, I'm glad it's... All right. Kara almost smiled, but not fully. Her race was known for serious expressions, yet she felt something loosening inside her. This human made her feel calmer than usual. A few moments passed before Kara spoke again. You said machines do not lie. That is why you like fixing them. She paused. Do people lie to you often? The question caught Evan off guard. He tapped the tool on the table gently. Not often. I just like things that make sense. Machines break and you fix them. People sometimes hide things. Kara nodded slowly. Even warriors hide things, fears, thoughts, memories. She looked away for a moment. Your honesty is unusual. Evan did not know how to answer that, so he focused on the bent armor plate. He pulled the metal gently with a lifting tool, slowly reshaping the curve. He worked with care, not rushing even a little. Kara watched him again. Her eyes followed every movement. She felt something she had not felt in a long time, a sense of trust. She did not offer trust easily, but something about Evan's steady hands earned it. An hour passed quietly. Evan finally stepped back and wiped sweat from his forehead. The left side is repaired, he said. Try moving your arm. Kara lifted her arm slowly. The armor responded smoothly. The repaired plates shifted without delay. The energy lines flowed with steady light. She tested a few movements. Everything worked well. You did this without needing guidance, Kara said with gentle surprise. Evan smiled lightly. I observed the structure. It told me what it needed. Kara looked at him closely. You say that as if the armor speaks. In a way it does, Evan replied. Not with words. With how the metal bends, how the lines connect, how the joints feel. If you listen with your hands, you understand. Kara held his gaze for a moment. The calm inside her grew. You are skilled? Evan shrugged, but he looked pleased. I just try to do things right. Before either could say more, an alarm sounded from the control room. It was a quiet but firm tone, meaning the scanners had detected something near the outpost. Kara turned toward the door instantly. That is a warning signal. Evan nodded quickly. I'll check the console. They moved together to the nearby screen. Evan tapped the control panel. A small radar map appeared with blinking dots. There are several unknown ships approaching, Evan said. Not large. Maybe small raiders. Kara's eyes sharpened. I must be ready. Evan glanced at her armor. It is not fully repaired yet. I need more time. Kara stood firm. I cannot wait. I must protect this outpost if danger comes. Evan hesitated, then said, Your armor will hold if you avoid heavy hits. I strengthened the main joints. Kara nodded once. I trust your work. She said it with a tone that felt heavy with meaning. Evan felt it in his chest. Kara stepped back onto the repair platform. Finish what you can before they arrive. Even small improvements matter. Evan rushed to gather his tools. He worked faster this time, but his hands stayed steady. Kara watched him again, but this time she was not only observing his skill. She was trusting him with her safety. As Evan adjusted the last plate before the coming threat, Kara spoke softly. Human, your touch shows care. That is why I trust you. Evan lifted his head, surprised, but he kept working. I just want you to be safe. Kara's eyes softened. I know. The scene closed with the sound of distant engines outside the outpost and Kara standing tall, ready to face whatever approached. Evan kept repairing with full focus, determined to protect her in the only way he could, with his hands, his skill, and his calm strength. Frontline Echo was usually a quiet place. Most days passed with nothing more than the soft hum of machines or the distant echo of ships landing. Today felt different. The air inside the outpost seemed heavier, and the warning lights flashed with slow, tense pulses. Evan stood near the repair platform with several tools in his hands. Kara Velnar stood beside him, tall and steady in her half-repaired armor. The scanner map on the control panel showed several small ships moving toward the outpost. They are coming closer, Evan said in a low voice. Kara studied the map with focused eyes. These ships move in a loose formation. Raiders often use such patterns, Evan swallowed. Do they attack outposts like this often? Yes, Kara said. They target places that look unprotected. Evan took a breath. Frontline Echo had only a few guards, and none of them were trained for heavy attacks. His chest tightened with worry. Kara turned toward him. Your work made my armor stronger. I can defend this place. That armor still needs more repairs, Evan replied. You are not at full strength. Kara faced him directly. A warrior does not wait for perfect conditions. I stand to protect. Evan looked at her brave expression, and for a moment he forgot his fear. He admired how calm she stayed, how certain she sounded. He nodded slowly. I'll finish whatever I can before they get here, he said. Kara stepped back onto the repair platform. Evan gathered his tools quickly. His hands moved fast but still stayed steady. Every second mattered now. He checked the outer plates and reinforced a few weak points. Kara watched him silently. Outside, the engines of the approaching raider ships grew louder. The sound came from far across the landing pads, echoing like a low growl. Kara lifted her head. They are close. Evan pressed his lips together. I'll finish this joint and then you can move. He tightened the last bolt and stepped back. The armor shimmered with soft lines of energy. Kara moved her arm several times. It was smooth and responsive. You improved it again, she said. Evan nodded. I hope it helps. Kara stepped off the platform and turned toward the door. Evan hesitated, then said quietly, Be careful. Kara looked back at him. Her eyes had a calm glow. I will return. Then she walked out. Evan followed her to the entrance of the outpost. The guards were already rushing to their positions. Two of them looked nervous. They held small pulse rifles, but their hands shook slightly. Kara walked past them and stood in the center of the landing pad. She looked like a tower of strength in the middle of the open space. The wind pushed dust around her feet, but she stayed still, waiting. Evan stayed near the doorway. He did not want to stand in the open, but he could not bring himself to leave. Something in his chest would not allow it. The raider ships approached in a loose triangle formation. They were small, fast ships with sharp metal hulls and narrow engines. The first ship lowered speed and circled the outpost. Kara watched them without fear. Evan whispered under his breath, They're trying to find a weak spot. Kara responded without turning. They will not find one today. The ships hovered low. One of them launched a small device that clattered onto the landing pad. It sparked with bright red light. Kara stepped forward and crushed it beneath her armored boot. No warnings, she said. They come to take. A loud burst shook the air as one raider fired a shot toward the guards. The pulse bolt hit the wall near them, leaving a dark burn mark. The guards ducked. Kara moved instantly. She dashed forward with smooth speed, her armor plates shifting with quick precision. Evan felt his breath stop for a moment. She moved like a storm, every step strong and controlled. The first raider ship tried to pull away, but Kara leaped onto a metal crate, then to a support beam, and struck the ship's wing with a strong blow. The impact made the ship tilt sharply. Evan watched with wide eyes. Her armor is actually helping her move faster. The raider ship spun and backed away. The other two ships fired again. The bolts went straight toward the center of the pad. Kara raised her arm and the armor redirected part of the blast. She slid back slightly but kept her balance. Evan clenched his fists. Please don't get hit, he thought silently. The guards tried to fire back, but their shots were weak. The raiders ignored them and focused on Kara. They moved to surround her. Kara's voice echoed across the pad. "You will not harm this outpost." She rushed toward the nearest ship. Evan saw a heavy bolt fire toward her. It struck her side, making a flash of bright light. Kara stumbled for a moment. Evan gasped. "Kara!" She steadied herself and pressed her hand to the damaged spot. The armor had taken most of the impact, but it needed reinforcement. Another bolt fired toward her. Kara jumped back, then ran forward again with renewed strength. She reached the ship's lower side and struck the engine panel. Sparks exploded. The ship lost balance and pulled away quickly, retreating. Evan's heart beat fast. He felt fear, but also admiration. Kara fought with more courage than he had ever seen. One raider ship remained close. It angled downward and came straight toward Kara as if trying to ram her. Evan shouted, "Move!" Kara did not move away. She stepped forward, lowered her stance, and pushed off the ground with powerful force. She met the ship halfway and struck the front panel with both hands. The ship jerked upward, engines howling. It spun in the air and escaped into the sky. Within moments, all three ships turned and fled into the distance. They did not want to face her again. Silence returned to the outpost. Kara stood still for a few seconds, then let out a slow breath. The glow in her armor dimmed. She placed a hand on the damaged section at her side. Evan ran toward her, ignoring the guards who tried to block the path. "Kara, are you all right?" Kara turned slowly. "I am stable. The armor absorbed most of the damage." Evan looked closely at her side. The armor was cracked again, more than before. He shook his head. "You took a heavy hit. You shouldn't have fought like that with half repairs." Kara's eyes softened slightly. "I trusted that your work would hold." "It did." Evan looked down, feeling a tight pressure in his chest. "You scared me," he admitted. Kara studied him for a quiet moment. "I did not mean to cause you worry." Evan gently touched the damaged area of her armor with 2 fingers. "This part needs attention right away." Kara did not move away this time. "I will follow your guidance." The guards approached, thanking her for saving the outpost. Kara nodded politely but kept her focus on Evan. "Come," Evan said. "We need to get you back to the repair bay." Kara walked beside him. Her steps were slower now but steady. Evan moved next to her, ready to support her if she slipped. Inside the repair bay, Evan guided her to the platform again. "You protected everyone," he said quietly. "You didn't have to." Kara met his eyes. "It was the right choice." Evan took a deep breath. "Let me fix your armor again." This time properly, Kara nodded. "I trust your hands." Evan felt something warm in his chest. Her words were simple, but they carried real meaning. The part ended with Evan preparing his tools again and Kara sitting calmly on the platform, knowing her safety depended on the same gentle hands that had already protected her once today. The repair bay of Frontline Echo felt different after the battle. The machines still hummed and the lights still flickered, yet the air carried a new feeling. Evan guided Kara Velnar back onto the repair platform with careful steps. She moved slowly, but her posture remained strong. Even with the damage on her armor, she looked steady and calm. Evan examined the cracked section on her side. The impact from the raider ship had bent the plates, twisted the power lines, and weakened the support frame underneath. When he touched the metal, he felt a faint warmth that should not have been there. "This damage is worse than before," Evan said quietly. Kara nodded once. "It was a heavy hit. I misjudged the angle." "You could have been hurt," Evan said. His voice had no anger, only concern. Kara watched him closely. "A warrior accepts risk." "Yes, but accepting risk doesn't mean you have to face it alone," Evan replied. He did not realize how honest his words sounded until they left his mouth. Kara stayed silent for a moment. Her calm eyes softened. "No one has said that to me before." Evan looked up, surprised. "Really? Not even from your team?" "My people value strength," Kara said. "We fight beside each other, but we do not speak of fear or protection with gentle words. It is rare." Evan nodded slowly. "Well, I want you to be safe. That's not weakness. It's just truth." Kara held his gaze for a long moment, then spoke quietly. "Your truth does not frighten me." Evan felt something warm in his chest at her words. He stepped back to gather his tools. He wanted to keep his mind focused on the work. The battle had shaken him more than he showed, and he did not want his hands to tremble. Kara stayed still while Evan began repairing the damaged area. He used a careful rhythm. Tap, check, adjust, soften pressure, check again. His movements were slow, steady, and full of quiet focus. As he worked, Kara said softly, "You were afraid for me." Evan paused but did not look up. "Yes, I was." "Why?" Kara asked. Her tone was not demanding, it held curiosity. Evan exhaled slowly. "Because I didn't want anything to happen to you. You protected everyone without thinking twice. That takes courage. You deserve someone watching your back too." Kara studied his face. "No one has watched my back with such thought before." "You do the same for others," Evan said. "Maybe it's time someone does it for you too." Kara did not answer right away. Instead, she turned her head slightly, listening to the soft sounds of Evan's tools touching the metal. She felt a quiet calm settle inside her. For years, she had lived with constant pressure, constant training, constant duty. Yet here, in this small outpost far away from her own people, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. She felt safe. Evan finished tightening one of the inner joints. "This part should hold now. Your side might still feel heavy, but the armor will support you." Kara nodded. "You repaired it with the same care as before?" Evan smiled a little. "I always do my best." Kara tilted her head. "You speak with humility. Many humans I have met talk of their skill with loud pride." Evan laughed softly. "I don't have anything to prove, I just try to do good work." Kara watched him again, her eyes thoughtful. "That is a strength." Evan moved to the next section of damage. He leaned close, tracing the crack with the tip of his tool. As he reached forward, his hand brushed against her armor near her ribs. It was a light touch, unplanned, but it carried a familiar warmth. Kara did not move away this time. Evan froze for a moment, unsure how she would react. "It's okay," Kara said quietly. "Your touch does not disturb me." Evan nodded and continued his work, though a small nervousness lingered in his chest. After a while, Kara spoke again. "You asked earlier why I fought alone. I will answer now." Evan looked up. "You don't have to share if it's painful." "I choose to," Kara said. She took a slow breath. "When I was young, I trained with other warriors. We were taught that fear must be hidden, and pain must be silent. I learned to carry everything alone. Later, during a mission, a teammate was injured because I hesitated for only 1 second. I never forgave myself. Since then, I fight with full force and do not allow myself to rely on others." Evan stood still, his tool lowered. "That sounds like a lot to hold inside." "It is," Kara said. Her voice did not shake. It was simply honest. "But today when I fought the raiders, something was different." Evan frowned gently. "What was different?" Kara looked at him. "I was not fighting completely alone." Evan felt the weight of her words. He swallowed. "I didn't do much. You handled everything. You gave strength to my armor," Kara said. "And you gave clarity to my mind. I moved with trust, not doubt. That matters." Evan felt warmth spread through his chest. "I'm glad I helped you." Kara studied him for a long moment. "You helped more than you think." Evan cleared his throat and turned back to the armor repairs, trying not to let his emotions show too openly. "Well, I'll keep helping then. You're not done yet." Kara's lips lifted slightly, a soft expression that could almost be called a smile. "I accept." Time passed as Evan worked through the armor plates. Kara remained silent, but the room felt filled with quiet understanding. Every click of his tool echoed gently. Every shift of her armor made a soft metallic sound. Once the last joint was reinforced, Evan stepped back. "Try moving again." Kara lifted her arm, rotated her torso and stepped forward. The armor responded smoothly. The cracked sections were now stable and strong. "It feels whole," Kara said. "It is," Evan replied. His voice had a proud note, though he did not raise it. Kara stepped down from the platform and stood in front of him. "You repaired more than my armor today." Evan blinked. "What do you mean?" "You repaired a part of myself I thought was gone," Kara said. Her tone stayed calm, but her words held deep meaning. "You reminded me that trust is not weakness." Evan felt his heart beat faster, though he tried to remain steady. "You earned trust. I just showed you that you deserve it." Kara's eyes softened even more. "You speak with sincerity." "I value that." Evan hesitated before replying. "I'm just glad you're okay." Kara stood a step closer. She looked at him with quiet warmth. "You worry for me in a way that feels new. I notice it." Evan lowered his gaze for a moment. "I can't hide it." "I do not want you to hide it," Kara said. Her voice carried gentle strength. Silence filled the room, not uncomfortable, but meaningful. After a moment, Kara said, "You helped me face the battle today. Tomorrow, I face my mission again. Before I leave, I want to understand something." "What is it?" Evan asked. Kara lifted her hand slightly, the metal plates catching the light. "When you touch my armor, it feels calm. Why?" Evan did not rush the answer. "Maybe because I respect it, and I respect you." Kara held his eyes. "I see." The part ended with Kara standing close to him, the newly repaired armor glowing softly, and Evan realizing that something was changing between them. Something quiet, something gentle, something neither of them had expected. The war had finally settled into a tense silence. The once chaotic battlefield was now littered with the remnants of shattered armor, scorched metal, and the echo of distant alarms. Yet in this uneasy quiet, the human mechanic Jaren moved with purpose. His hands, which had fixed countless machines, were steady as he approached the alien warrior, Kale, who had now grown accustomed to his presence. Kale stood near the edge of a crater, the orange glow of the setting sun reflecting off the jagged remains of her damaged armor. For weeks she had been hesitant, wary of the human who had dared to touch her armor, to cross the line no one else had. But the bond that had begun in cautious gestures and repair tasks had deepened. Kale's sharp gaze softened slightly as she observed Jaren, waiting for him to speak. "I think I can get it fully operational today," Jaren said, kneeling beside the massive war machine that Kale called home. His voice was calm, methodical, the kind that could soothe even the most restless minds. He examined the outer plating, noting where the metal had buckled and where the energy conduits were exposed. His fingers moved with practiced precision, repairing, reinforcing, and carefully aligning each component. Kyle watched, her alien features still tense but her curiosity overcoming her suspicion. She shifted her weight slightly, the heavy armor creaking with the motion. "You are patient," she said finally, her voice low, almost like a rumble. Jaren smiled faintly. "Patience is part of the work. You can't rush something that's meant to last." The alien warrior's gaze lingered on him, studying the way his hands moved, the way he focused entirely on the task at hand. There was an intensity there, something more than mere skill, something deeply human. Kale had seen humans before, of course, but she had never encountered one who seemed so calm amidst chaos, so unafraid of her size, her power, her difference. As the sun dipped lower, Jaren finished tightening the last bolts and sealing the final conduit. Sparks danced faintly along the edge of the machinery and he stepped back, wiping his hands on a rag. "That should do it," he said. "She's as strong as she was before the fight. Maybe stronger." Kale extended a gloved hand toward the human, her armored fingers brushing his shoulder lightly. It was the smallest gesture, yet it carried weight. "You earned my trust," she said. "Not many would approach without fear." Jaren nodded, understanding the gravity behind her words. Trust was not given lightly among Kale's people. He had not expected it, yet he accepted it without hesitation. "It's not about fear," he said. "It's about understanding. Machines, armor, warriors, they all need respect. That's all I did. Kyle studied him a moment longer before turning her attention back to the horizon. The battlefield was quiet, but the distant rumble of retreating enemies reminded them that peace was fragile. She adjusted her armor, the repaired sections gleaming faintly in the dying light. "You are different," she murmured. Jaren tilted his head slightly, a small smile forming. "Different can be good," he said. "It can help you see things others miss." The alien warrior's eyes narrowed slightly, thoughtful. She had been trained to rely on strength and skill alone, to trust only in power and experience. Yet this human, he had shown her something unexpected. Not weakness, not fear, but a quiet confidence that seemed to unsettle the rules she had always lived by. As night fell, they made their way to the temporary camp set up among the wreckage. Other warriors had retreated, giving them space, though whispers followed their movements. The bond between Jaren and Kale was noticeable, though unspoken, and even in silence, it commanded attention. At the camp, Jaren worked on smaller repairs, tools clinking softly as he adjusted minor components and reinforced structural weaknesses. Kale watched from nearby, occasionally offering input, though her curiosity was clearly more focused on him than the machinery. "You move, differently from my kind," she said finally, breaking the quiet. Jaren looked up, pausing in his work. "I've learned to adapt," he said. "Sometimes the way you move isn't about strength, it's about precision, balance, and knowing when to act." Kale considered this. "Humans, they fight differently too," she said. "They do not rely solely on power. They think in ways my people do not." Jaren nodded. "That's why we survive," he said simply. "We use our minds as much as our bodies. We plan, we improvise, we work together." Her eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "And yet, you do not fear me," he shook his head. "Why should I? You're not my enemy. I fix things, I solve problems. Fear doesn't help with that." For the first time, Kale felt a flicker of respect, mingled with something unfamiliar, something warmer than mere acknowledgement. This human, small and unarmed, had faced her without hesitation, without expectation of reward or submission. He had acted simply because it was right. As the night deepened, a soft wind stirred the remnants of the battlefield. Jaren and Kale sat near a small fire, watching the sparks dance into the darkness. For a long while, neither spoke, each lost in thought. Finally, Kale broke the silence. "You have changed something in me," she said quietly. "Not with weapons, not with words, but by simply being here, by fixing what was broken." Jaren glanced at her, surprised by the honesty in her tone. "Maybe that's what anyone can do," he said. "Fix what's broken, help when they can. Sometimes that's enough." Kale's gaze lingered on him, searching, measuring. Then with a fluid motion she reached forward again, lightly placing her hand over his. It was not just trust now. It was acknowledgement, a silent recognition of the bond that had grown between them. "You are unlike anyone I have known," she said. "Perhaps I do not want you to leave." Jaren's expression softened. He understood the weight of her words, the depth of her meaning. He had not come seeking friendship, not allegiance, not recognition. Yet he had found all of those things here, in this strange alien warrior who now regarded him not just with curiosity, but with respect and something more profound. "Then I will stay," he said simply, "as long as you need me." Kyle's eyes shone faintly under the starlight, her massive frame relaxing in a way it had not for years. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to feel safe, to trust fully, to see the value not only in the human's skill but in his heart. The night deepened around them, quiet and unbroken. Somewhere in the distance, the last enemy patrols faded into the darkness, leaving the battlefield still. In that silence, Jaren and Kale sat together, warriors of different worlds united not by blood but by understanding, respect, and the unspoken promise that they would face whatever came next, together. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Kyle stood and tested her repaired armor. It felt lighter, stronger, almost as if it carried the human's determination within it. She looked at Jaren, and for the first time there was no hesitation, no doubt. Only acknowledgement, gratitude, and the faintest hint of a bond that had the potential to change both of their lives forever. "You have done more than fix my armor," she said, her voice steady now. "You have changed me." Jaren smiled, standing beside her. "Then it was worth it," he said. Together they faced the rising sun, ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. Not as master and subordinate, not as alien and human, but as allies, friends, and something more. A team built not only on skill but on mutual respect, trust, and the quiet understanding that sometimes the smallest touch could forge the strongest bond. And so, on that quiet battlefield, two warriors from different worlds began a new journey, one not defined by war, but by the courage to connect, to repair, and to trust in a universe that had too long doubted the strength of unity.